Hey guys.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Can we do a sound test? It's been kind of rough on this end. Uh, I don't know, whatever is in this, they don't want it to be heard, so hopefully we'll make it through the whole live. Guys, sorry about that. Okay. Can we do a sound test? It's been kind of rough on this. Okay.
That one.
I don't know where the whatever is in this.
There we go. Yeah, this was like we got
Sorry
complete
about that. Okay.
screwing with us going on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they are screwing with us like there's no tomorrow.
Okay, Jen says she can hear us. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, this was freaking brutal.
This was the worst, you guys. This was the worst. Thanks. Thank you for your support and hanging in there. Um, it's definitely been rough. I mean, we're not gonna lie, it has been rough, and I know that they want us out of there because sometimes maybe and I don't want it to sound like an ego thing, but sometimes I do think we hit on some nerves. We hit on some nerves sometimes, and you guys and all of us coming together the way that we do, we make a difference. And I think they really, really do not like that. So thanks for your support and thanks for hanging in there. It has been tough.
Yeah, you have no privacy on your computer. People are always hacked into you. All of us. That's just the reality of it. And so, they had just screwed with all the settings on OBS. Nothing I had changed. It was just absolutely bizarre. But, we've had these type of things happen before. Others too. Last time we went live with Wayne, he had all sorts of problems to get the thing going. It took quite a while.
Yeah, Christy, on your own phone, and I noticed today was really weird on my phone too. There's so many glitches on my phone today, and disconnecting me from our own Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And then it said, "Oh gosh, thank you, KK, thank you." Oh, almost makes me want to cry. Thank you so much, honey. Um, I had to put in my password again on my Wi-Fi, which is dumb because I've been connected to my own Wi-Fi for a long time now.
Yeah, I think they're getting ready to like totally shut us down if we're non-compliant. With the dark control matrix. Yeah, it's been brutal. Honestly, if we're totally honest with you guys, it has been hell the last couple weeks. It has been such a test of patience and fortitude, but we will trudge on and we'll hope that the landscape portal energies will push us in a new direction. And then after the eclipse, we'll see how those energies do as well to propel us into a more positive direction. Yeah, the Baal is in play for sure, and we're in the end zone. Agree, Susan, agree.
Definitely, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, just getting, I mean, everything has been just a challenge. So we do appreciate your support in every way. It helps keep us going, and the sponsorship really helps keep us going because we want to continue to be able to come on here with you guys. That's just that. And yes, we do live rather spiritual lives, but that doesn't mean just because you live a spiritual life doesn't mean you get off the hook for life happenings. It just means you put all the things that you have learned, you get to put them to the test quite often.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, there's just all sorts of craziness going on. And thank you, Mary D. We love you guys, love all of you guys. Zuvia, good to see you as well. Sin Havoc was saying it's the final countdown. Yeah, it really does feel like that, doesn't it? Good to see you, Regina. And Nina, I saw you were talking about your son had to evacuate. He's on British Columbia too. He's in Vancouver. I believe, but there's wildfires going and they are raging. When you look, we'll look at the wildfire map. It's like, God, what's not on fire? Well, the Schumann, because the Schumann, finally, we have a little bit of peace on the Schumann. Have you guys noticed a change in the last 24 hours, or does it still feel as intense as ever? The power's 25. I mean, it's been up there in the 70s and better. It's been very intense. And a lot of people are having an awful lot of emotional problems, energy problems. Um, there was a UFC coach that just retired, and he was talking about how, he slept 14 hours last night. This is an athlete, and it wasn't enough. He's just still tired. I think that's downloads. A lot of it's downloads. Some of it's probably detoxing. But there's also just this barrage of different frequencies out there. KK, thank you so much. I don't know where we would be without you. We love and adore you.
Yes, I mean, everyone's support matters right now. It does. It matters, and it really helps. So we got a really good show today. A lot going on in the cosmos that is affecting us here, affecting us very much in the 3D. So, just give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, understand that that it always passes. It will pass, and keep hanging in there, because the one thing that we can always count on is change, right? Things are going to change. So wherever you're at right now, know that it's just, you're not stuck. You're absolutely not stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nina, you said you saw somebody set the fires yourself. I know there was an arsonist caught, and he might not really done as many fires as they said that he did. He was claiming to do like 20 or 25, um, but it felt a little funny to me. But yeah, you know how it is. It's just craziness. Did you know who Mr. S pay them? They certainly could have. That's for sure. Well, at least we got a little break on the Schumann right now to give ourselves a little breather. We could use it. We look at the KP, and we do have the KP right now. It's 5.67, so we're actually in a G2, moderate storm over there. That's something that could affect things too, and it just feels like we're all way more sensitive than we were. You think back to the 80s, and were we all sleepwalking zombies? I mean, did any of us have a clue back in the 80s as to exactly the control system that's in place, and how dark some aspects of everything that we're going through on Earth really is? I think I woke up to that in the early 90s. Thank you, brother. David Lewis. Hope you're doing well over there. Much love as always. Dave is quite an inspiration.
So just Dave has some really wonderful, I think they're groundbreaking projects going on, and we definitely want to support him. I'm just waiting on Dave's go ahead for, information to further assist his projects over there. But this guy can grow anything from anything out of anything, and we need Dave out there more than ever. His information, I do hope he writes a book on just how to grow anything out of anything. I mean, he's amazing. So thanks again, Dave. Hope to maybe have you on someday showing all your projects and everything that you do.
Yeah, Dave could like grow watermelons out of old boots.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
seriously,
could.
seriously here. He's got a green thumb. Absolutely. Probably three of them. So, yeah, the KP solar storm moderate, and at the index is at 2 right now. The sun is actually very quiet for the most part. There was a filament there you could see on the southwest quadrant of the sun that erupted. But, overall, relatively quiet. And, oh, yeah, this was something too. Let me see if it's going to roll or not now. I had to reboot the whole computer, and that still didn't fix it. Somebody actually literally just turned whole sections of the OBS programming off, and it wasn't me. Here you go. Bradenton. This is just north of where I was living in Sarasota. Do you think that's a sign? lightning strike hitting a water tower. Water, it's the big thing right now. Obviously, remember the we first said you might not get climate change, but I think you'll understand water and whether it's a mud flood or a drought. Yeah, we kind of get the picture.
Yeah, yeah, we get the picture. We're getting the messages loud and clear. I like that name. Confused Alaskan. Good to have you here. I just like the name.
Zuvuya, the entire solar system going through a higher energy. All the planets are heating up. There are changes everywhere. Absolutely. But, I don't fear stuff like that. Even if it was a worst case scenario, like in knowing, which I don't think it is, I wouldn't fear something like that. If it's nature, hey, we are consciousness, which is eternal by nature. We'll just find ourselves in a different reality. Again, a lot of times when people have accidents, they're pushed out of the body so fast they don't know what happened. And yet, they're like trying to figure it out. What happened? Why do I feel different? I mean, that's the way it is. We're just going to be looking at things from a different perspective. And in fact, again, I would so encourage everybody, and I'm going to do a better job of it myself, I promise you, to write down dreams, because your dreams are a glimpse into the bigger you. Really, the bigger you. You can learn so much by writing down your dreams, not just prophetic, but deeper insights, into what you really need to be working on right now.
I mean, dreams are awesome. They are a blessing. Sometimes I think we can get overwhelmed and not have the dream time, but when we do have it, I think that is definitely whispers from our guides, giving us information and giving us insights on things that otherwise we wouldn't have, right? I think it's so cool we can go to that side of the veil just for a little while in life and just get some interesting information at times.
Yeah, I would say it happens to me maybe every third night that I catch myself dreaming and then flying around astrally and controlling it. It's just so fun to be out of body and being able to fly. It's just awesome. You feel like Superman. Again, a dream journal is really the place to start. I'll tell you what else helped. Cindy has these blue melatonin patches. They're fabulous. I don't even know where she got them, but man, they help with vivid dreaming. And then there's also the aloe vera patch from LifeWave, which helps a lot too, and it has other benefits.
Yeah, you put the aloe vera patch. It definitely helps awaken the stem cells for collagen. So it's a collagen activator, and I just love it. I wear mine every night, right on my forehead, right on my hippocampus. And you bet that thing, it'll give you some pretty cool dreams. And then this low level melatonin patch. I mean, just a little tiny sliver of melatonin didn't hurt anything. And it too, it just, kind of holds you at that sleep all night long if you're having trouble, on the rough nights, sometimes that happens. And I'm hearing more and more lately, people are kind of having a rough night's sleep. So it's okay to call in a little bit of help.
I was going through rough patches sleeping too. But honestly, like the last maybe 4 or 5 nights have been really good. And I really look forward to sleep now because it's more of an exploration for me of the other side. And I thoroughly enjoy it. Right now, the biggest quakes we have out there's 2 of them that are 5.6. There's one in Japan. That's at 34 kilometers deep. And there's one up in Alaska at 10 kilometers deep. Other than that, nothing too big, nothing too notable, nothing too out of the norm. For now, and we have to put that as a for now. This is some shots of the Jersey Shore on Friday. Boy, those are some ominous clouds coming in. Jersey Shore can be fun if you've never been down there, from Atlantic City down to Cape May. Man, yeah, I used to take the kids down there, and it was wonderful. But boy, that looks ominous. They've had some serious flooding too. And the weather has just been insane. Look at these rolling in here. Whoa, I tell you, you see any elementals up there? Wow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty interesting, it feels a little ominous, but it feels pretty powerful, as long as it's just nature, that's all good. Now, if it were something filled with really strange looking drones, I would be concerned, but that's just a nice heavy dose of nature.
So we still have an awful lot of fires going. The fires are not slowing down. They're not stopping. In fact, they probably won't for a while. Yeah, unfortunately. Let's do our rain dances. Uh, let's get some closure to these fires. So, still, state of emergency in effect. Again, Kaiser Canyon road fires destroyed over 138,000 acres, along with the old trails fire still burning, destroyed 3,600 acres, 43% contained. In total, the wildfires burning have destroyed about 250,000 acres in Washington state. Thousands of homes still at risk. Let's pray for rain, as we were saying. More than 4,000 firefighters are working these fires with helicopters and fixed wings. Just wild. Again, when it comes close to home, boy, that is seriously scary. This is Highway 97, British Columbia's Okanagan region. The Bald Range wildfires forced about 20,000 people from their homes there. Obviously, we know for a fact arson was involved in at least some of them, and other people have even reported seeing lightning strikes. We still have Spain on fire. We still have Europe going through what they're going through. This really hasn't slowed down at this point in time. We are getting some thunder and lightning storms at the moment, and I hope that we don't get any interruptions for the rest of the show. This is more from British Columbia again, as you can see.
Oh man, it's going crazy. It looked like it was holy shit. Oh my god, man. It looked like it was dying off for a second there. Look at that. Look at how high those flames are. Great.
That is pretty wild.
On Highway 97, and I'm facing towards 7-Eleven. Crazy.
We pray for all the people in the area. We also pray for all the animals and also for Bigfoot, because I'm sure they're in the middle of this too.
Well, yeah, Bigfoot and all the creatures of the forest that help guard the forest and that need every little square inch of forest that they can get because they're being pushed out of it for various reasons, and probably a little bit because of the data centers aren't doing any favors, but it looks pretty rough. And we can set the intention now that everyone who needs to get out does get out, and they also have a warm place to stay for themselves and their pets, because we got a lot of animals out there going through this, and birds and everything else. What patches do you recommend? Really, honestly, Tracy, we love the Life Wave. The Life Wave for stabilizing and balancing the brain, that's part of what it does. It absolutely turns on the stem cells, reawakens the stem cells, and in that it will bring you balance. So that's highly recommended. It's really helped me.
Yeah, there's quite a few different patches that they have available too. Starting with X3949, that's where you should really start to get the foundation in, and we could always cover more of that in the future too. So as you see, this is the wildfire map, and Wow, look at how much of Canada is still on fire. And look at, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, British Columbia. Man, it's just scary to see all these fires. There are some, pretty good sized ones still in California, as well as you could see down here, and even some in Nevada. And it always kind of boggles my mind when, I know there's not a lot of trees in these areas. It's just burning the sage. It just feels weird. Honestly, Colorado still has quite a few going. New Mexico as well. You have one up here close to Amarillo, and then one northeast of Oklahoma City. It's just insanity out there. 2,300 acres there. Oh, the babies are here, and I forgot to put corn out for them. The deer come every night, and it's just so cool to watch the little ones grow up from the time they're born, or even we remember when the does are pregnant and they're here. You could catch them and see quite easily that they are pregnant. And Sacagawea, by the way, eruption sends ash across Kagoshima. Powerful explosive eruption from Sacagawea. Yeah, that's it, right. Sent a dense ash plume about 2,200 meters above the crater on the 8th. Ash carried directly towards Kagoshima City. And so, again, a lot of times this is really highly toxic. So you have to be very, very careful. Not a fan of masking up. However, there are times when you might absolutely have to.
Yeah, you might need to do something different.
So, this does erupt and everything, but at the same time, it gets me wondering, are we closer to that big event, which may be what Ryo Tatsuki had seen for a year ago in July, some sort of mega eruption or mega volcanic eruption. Sacagawea is active, and we're going to be watching things carefully. I mean, we're on the Lionsgate portal. We have the eclipse on the 12th. There was this whole thing about no gravity that people were buzzing about, which I think that's got to be some kind of allegory on the 12th itself again. And, it just feels like August is monumental in nature. It's a turning point in so many ways.
It is a turning point. These eclipses coming up, first the solar, then the lunar. These are very pivotal, and they're pivotal in the sense that it could help generational healing. It can bring about major generational healing. And there are a lot of things you can do to break up certain patterns, including tunings, biofield tuning. That's why I got into it, because I knew it could break up and help break the patterns of trauma going through the generations, which can be just devastating, for your children, grandchildren, and everyone. But if you can put a dent in that, and we have a huge opportunity on the eclipse coming right up, big changes, big life changes.
Yes, it absolutely does feel like major changes. So this week we have 4 new instances of activity at 4 different volcanoes, and we have 18 that are still ongoing. So that gives us 22, which is actually, again, a little bit of a decrease. But it feels like there's a building going on. So the new activity was at Fuego in Guatemala, Krakatau in Indonesia, Parachi in Colombia, and Talika in Nicaragua. And we have the heat wave. Yes, record-breaking heat wave. Forecasted to peak through the 8th and 9th. Extreme heat warnings issued across the western U.S. So, that is obviously going to be adding fuel to the fire of the wildfire situation as you have areas that are going to not be getting much precipitation, and then you're going to get things like this in the Mojave. You have temps between 110 and 120, nighttime lows between 80 and 95. Doesn't really feel refreshing at that. But, it's the hottest time of the year. This is one of the, I would always say that kind of like the first week or two of August always feels to be the most intense when it comes to the heat. And then hopefully we'll end up starting to get glimpses of cooling down. So as we can see, a lot of red there as far as the heat risk and major risk, absolutely. With also some purple, which is extreme, so be very, very careful out there. Don't overtax yourself. I actually think I did overtax myself out in the sun about 10 days ago or so. I just got lost track of the time, and then you could get dehydrated so quick when you're out there working. I've literally come in and weighed myself, and I had lost like 3 pounds, 4 pounds in water weight by working the morning out in the sun.
Yeah, it happens. You just sort of lose track of time. But I think, especially people out in the desert, very young people, thinking that they're okay and they can handle the heat, find themselves, on the floor with an ambulance there to pick them up, just because they're okay 1 second and the next second they're not. So, never underestimate the heat. If you're starting to feel uncomfortable, just get somewhere cool, get some water in you. There's plenty of things you can do before you hit that spot.
August 12th, Susan says, is a 6-planet alignment with the Isis and Osiris asteroids stopping by. Oh, that sounds very interesting, doesn't it? And Sin Havoc says, what do you feel when you see Anthony Bourdain? I feel sad because I feel him and Chester Bennington and a few others. I think that their demise was all related, if you know what I mean. But as far as the person, I think he was kind of a tortured individual. I think he had vices earlier in life that were plaguing him. But I do think that towards the last part of his time here on Earth, he was really trying to do as good as he could, including revelations about some very, very dark things. And I think that that's probably why he's not here.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It is. It's real sad. As it turns out, there was like 4 of them that all left pretty much close together, and all were working on a movie project, a documentary project. If you guys probably know this, but it's a sad situation.
It's icky.
Here you go. This is curious, but I would say expected. Turkey and Pakistan, absolutely. I've been saying, you guys know, I was saying like 6 months ago, a year ago, that Turkey and Pakistan, I feel, will be countries that end up striking Israel in retaliation for everything that's going on in the Middle East. And here we have Turkey, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia signing a trilateral defense pact. That means any armed attack against any one of those states is regarded against an attack on them all. Turkey and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, honestly, all 3 of them have very, very substantial militaries. And you combine the 3 of them, and that's actually a very potent military force. I do find this very, very interesting. This is from RT, which I was subscribed to. This is curious. The sides are being drawn, and, we could see there's posturing and maneuvering. As we know, there are forces that have wanted to have a World War III, at least going back to 1871, because, again, that's when we got that first notification by that 33rd degree Mason and Confederate war general. Albert Pike said, there's three world wars planned. Here we are, all these years later. My gosh, think about that. You're talking over 150 years ago. They had all this planned. That's if you believe that he actually said it. I actually do believe that he said it. And I think there were a couple references to his prophecy that were literally in newspapers around 1900. There was a couple of references to Albert Pike's prophecy, like around 1902, 1904, actually in print. So that was before any of those actually happened, which means people were aware of it, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yep.
Yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan, that is a formidable military presence. New Jersey water systems were hit by cyber attacks. Iran suspected. 2 municipal water utilities targeted last week. The systems went down. Luckily, systems were restored. What I would say is, geez, I could pull up. I'm sure I could probably find the statement. That forum, either the ones we call the few or we'll call them the weefers, they made a clear statement that people don't understand climate change, but they're going to understand water. And what do we got now? We have a lot of attacks on water in many different ways. You could look at the data centers. They're draining the water off to somewhere. You obviously have all sorts of droughts ongoing. We have wildfires that we need water for. And then you got hacking and cyber attacks targeting water. This is where they get a little bit silly in thinking that people aren't going to figure out that this manipulation is going on. And obviously, you all know, you all get this.
Well, luckily, they're to the point where they could at least, as far as I know and what I read, they said they were able to move it over to manual operations, but I think that on the trajectory that we're on, the idea is to get everything, automated, right? Get it all automated. And then once they're nice and cozy in the automated systems, boom, you have something. And then, I do hope when they are setting up automated systems, they keep this in mind and they fall back on the idea that, hey, we may need to move to manual. We better not completely automate this. But I don't know, time will tell. I've seen them do dumber things.
Yeah, if you've never ever seen this, let us just play this momentarily.
Did we solve that? Did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems, which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. Climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably?
So, just in case, and there was another guy, let me see if I could pull up this one.
Yeah, there is a bunch of these, they've been telling us for years and years and years. So I think it's just our duty to do what we can do. You got to set up water catchment. You got to have a backups to your backups.
Yeah, you have Nestle CEO Peter Brabeck. Access to water should not be a public right, while allowing Nestle to take 1 billion gallons of water from California each year. This is insane. Water is not a public right. People should have their water limited. He doesn't have his wine limited. I mean, who knows what else is? I mean, everything is unlimited for him. But yeah, the rest of us, you can't even have water. You're going to be told how much. That's what they're doing in Puerto Rico. We were just talking about this. They're rationing. You have 48 to 72 hours where you're not going to be able to get any water. This is insanity. How in the world do we let this happen? This is a declared war on everybody on the planet besides this 1/10 of, 1/10 of 1% of L-ites.
Well, I think if you have the time and the wherewithal, you should be involved in the lower level um, control factors of any town that you're in. Just be there. Just listen. Just know what they're intending to do, and have your voice there too.
No, yeah, and he might not be a human. Like I see there, Sin Havoc says that guy ain't human. Yeah, I think a lot of them are not really. Um, yeah, I've signed like a bunch of petitions lately, and have gotten notes back, messages, emails back from different senators and representatives because it just feels like we got to be louder. We got to be louder. So why not contact your representatives? I understand it's all a charade, but put their feet under the fire.
Agreed.
Yeah, do whatever you can. Do whatever you can, because it's just beyond obvious. Is it Iran? It might be in a way, but ultimately, it's the dark control system. Because again, they move countries around like pawns. This is just a reality. The corporations are actually more powerful than the countries. And this is really hitting me, and I haven't processed this fully yet, but it does feel big. Russia officially opens a new Arctic trade sea route connecting China with Europe. Russia's state nuclear giant Rosatom, operator of the Northern Sea Route via the Arctic, said on Friday it's issued permits for 7 Chinese transit vessels to sail to Europe via the NSR, which again you could see, right here. This is where the U.S. and Russia are literally just miles apart, just miles up there, in the Bering Strait. There's something to this, Look at Greenland. Why does Trump want Greenland so much? Again, there could very well be battles that go on up here, but it's more than that too, because I think there's lands up there that they don't officially acknowledge that they've wiped off of maps.
Oh, I mean, just preliminary, the energy in it feels like it's otherworldly. Like there's other beings involved, and there's other elements involved that are going to be worth a lot. So that's a very important route. I'll have to look deeper at some point.
So again, what Cindy's alluding to is the bigger war, the war of the gods, which is again. You could look at it as it's an extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial battle of which we are just a small part. And really, we're a part that gets basically used as pawns at times, never really allowed to understand the bigger picture. But this is, again, there could be portals up there. There could be something else that is of value. There are different groups. These countries, in some ways, are representative of the different ultra-terrestrial geopolitical power structure that's out there. And, trying to feel who has who's backing. Who is really backing this group? Who is really backing that group? Recognize that the real Galactic Federation is truly 5D and above. So they're not necessarily in this end of it. They're rooting for us from a higher perspective, but there are definitely other entities that are directly involved in the conflicts. It goes from the Draco-Lyran Wars. It's never ended. That a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Well, yeah. Again, that's kind of given us a clue to our own history. Even the naming of Anakin, Anakim, also Anunnaki, Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is Qigong. Qui-Gon Jinn, that's Qigong. A practice I've done for like 35 years. It's all about moving the energy. So there's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't see. And I think if we knew, wow, I think people would they probably wouldn't be able to, a lot of them wouldn't be able to process it.
No, but I think it's going to come out. It's coming out very, very soon. And right now it's out there enough where really only if people have enough cognitive dissonance. I mean, I think that's what keeps a lot of people going is cognitive dissonance, but there's going to be something that happens that's going to even encroach and kind of stamp out that cognitive dissonance. They won't be able to ignore it. And that can be very, very traumatizing. That can shatter your whole world. I mean, that's what it's a safety mechanism. So all that's going to change soon.
Yeah, some people are really, really on top of this. And, this is huge because if it is truly true that we were not able to navigate through some of these places due to too much ice blocking it, and now you can, if that's actually true, which we don't know, we really don't, then it is interesting to think of the possibilities. And, there's always these new things like the rare earth elements that dominate. All of a sudden, there's a race for these rare earth elements and they're willing to create a global war to get them. Yeah, again, we're just pawns in this. There's a bigger war going on. And here we have, this is in Bratislava. Yes, Bratislava, Slovakia. Explosion, major fire at the Slavnaft oil refinery. As you can see, oil, gas, always being attacked. Any sort of food, always being attacked. We are being hit with an energy crisis like we've never seen before. Part of it is to pave the way for new ideas, new energies. And I'm sure we'll have those. I mean, again, 10 years from now, I think people are going to be like amazed at the changes 10 years from now. And I feel like the world's going back to the future in more ways than one.
Yeah, I think we have to kind of go through all the lumps and the bumps that are coming up to get us to a different place. It's kind of like cleaning out your closet. To make things better, things always usually have to get worse before they get better.
So you have a massive fire. This in California on the highway. A tanker carrying 8,600 gallons of gas crashed. A stretch along Highway 99 completely shut down. They think it was just an unsafe lane change that caused it. Believe it or not, all the drivers involved were unharmed. Now that's having your guardian angels there when you have that type of situation. Amazing, but we're thankful for that. Again, there's all these instances. There's so many weird, unusual things going on. Why in the world would New Zealand's government order mass burning of perfectly healthy beehives? This is just a complete attack on the food supply. New Zealand and Australia, with some of the most beautiful, wonderful people in the world, the governments there are the worst in the world. I mean, when you look at what has been happening there and how they've treated everybody and also nature, it's just horrendous. We all know how important bees are, and you're just exterminating bees. Bees pollinate 1/3 of the world's food, and the entire, the food supply is at risk. When bees aren't there, we're in huge trouble. Why in the world? Would they just eradicate it? Well, of course, there's some other rare disease out there they have to stop. Yeah, you've tried that many, many times, and we don't trust you anymore. We will never believe another thing any of these governments tell us.
No, that would be silly. What is that thing they say? First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. So it's like we're allowing it to happen, and we really cannot have that trust, and we have to do what we can to stop it. And I really wish that there were more people that would simply refuse. If they're given that order, why go through with it? If you know in your heart and your soul that is the 100% wrong thing to do, and you're just going to go forth on an order, I wish people would just stand a little stronger.
Yeah, antibiotics literally means anti-life. But this control system that's in place from the EU to the WEFers, the whole 9 yards, they are anti-life. They are totally anti-life. Again, it's just ridiculous. They are the problem. It's just that simple. They are the problem. Mysterious cloaked UFO spotted hiding inside cloud over North America. So we have another whole wave of disclosure coming out. This particular photograph is above a Canadian mountain town, Canmore, Alberta, August 2nd. It shows a glowing saucer-shaped formation suspended above the landscape, shared on Facebook by Cherry Woods, who posted the photo in a group dedicated to clouds. Many people in the comments were really quick to congratulate Woods on capturing an epic cloud hanging in the sky, but some said, you know what, that looks more like a UFO. Well, absolutely. I think, again, they've been using clouds to cover the ships forever, all of our lives. When you see, again, and the angel of the Lord went before them, by day as a cloud and by night as a pillar of fire. In today's terms, we would just basically say, hey, that's a UFO up there, or a UAP to be properly correct.
Yes, got to be properly correct.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's just a cloud, or does that hit you when you feel into it? Sense the energy up in there. What do you feel? Do you feel intelligence? Is it just nature, which is intelligent too, but is it something that is using this as a cloaking device?
Very interesting.
Definitely cloaking, says Mary D. Absolutely, Mary. And here, okay. Let's see if this is going to come up. So more UFO stuff was released. Let's see, is this glitching here? Honestly, this batch kind of felt like the weakest yet. At least that's what it seemed. A lot of triangular stuff, which again, the triangles predominantly is ours, whether they admit it or not. I think the bulk of our more advanced ships are triangular in nature, or at least a good percentage of them. Again, some of them, we believe, are occupied by humans and ETs, literally working side by side. There are humans in the military that have worked with aliens, quote unquote, ETs, extraterrestrials, and again, when you say extraterrestrial, you could mean they're from Earth, just from an extra part that they're not telling us about.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Which includes inner Earth. Absolutely. There is a reality there. Pentagon released 41 more of these files. So, yeah, but I didn't see anything that was really stunning. Actually, I feel that the last ones that they put out were, for the most part, much better. One was a 500-foot silent triangle reported over Bagram, Afghanistan, 2002. 6 videos of single 2021 encounter over the Gulf of Oman. This was a kind of a dud, I would say, overall. This one right here says, from a Chinese satellite, calculations are 40 meters in diameter. 40 miles or 40 meters? We need clarification on that one. But there you go. That looks like a traditional saucer over a holographic representation of the moon there. Yeah. We were talking to somebody, I forget who it was, but they were saying how we don't have the technology to go back to the moon again. It just feels so ridiculous to conceive of something like that.
Very interesting, isn't it?
And then we have Comet 220P McNaught update. Yes, this is interesting. You can see, look, it's beautiful and it's brightening a lot. Gerald Riemann posted a beautiful image of the comet last night as it progresses through its second massive and unexpected outburst. It's reached an estimated 6.7 magnitude, up from about 14 in July. Again, the smaller number, the more intense. That's nearly 1,000 times brighter in just a few days. Dan Bartlett also imaged the object and noted an elongated, curved centroid, as well as significant disruption in the dust tail. which may be highly indicative of a potential fracturing event. Unfortunately, we may be witnessing the death of the comet. Well, we'll see. We'll see, you know. So, as I've always said to you guys, I always look to comets for when the big events happen. They've always been associated with, you know, big negative events, unfortunately. Harbinger of sadness, sorrow, strife, warfare, pestilence, plagues. They're all associated with comets. But I think a lot of these comets are not just, you know, icy snowballs. No, I think a lot of them are ships. And Cindy did a channeling that we're going to share tomorrow, I think tomorrow morning, on this particular comet, because she did get more information.
Yeah, they all carry a particular vibe and they have a purpose too. So I went in and pulled some of that information. We'll get it out there tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll probably be the first thing that we put up tomorrow, guys. And this one says, is that a comet? No, that's Mercury. Wait a minute, Mercury has a tail? Yeah, a sodium tail. This is what they tell us. Wait a minute. How come, you know, I've been here on this planet over 60 years. I don't remember this. I really don't remember a sodium tail. Mercury, you know, Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury, Hermes, Hermes thrice great. It's also, again, the symbol that we see, the AMA symbol. What's up with that? Mercury has a tail? And so I put in to Brave just to check. It says it appears that you are referring to Mercury's sodium tail. It's got a salt tail? A comet-like plume of gas that extends millions of kilometers away from the planet. The phenomenon is not a solid table, but a stream of sodium atoms ejected from Mercury's surface by solar wind and micrometeorite impacts. Curious. I wonder when this came into effect, because, you know, I've always been big into all this, and I never remember hearing this before. It says sodium atoms are stripped from Mercury's thin exosphere, pushed away from the sun by solar radiation pressure, creating a glowing tail similar to a comet. The tail is visible only through special narrowband filters, specifically at 589 nanometers, that capture the bright yellow-orange light scattered by sodium atoms. Tail can extend for 24 million kilometers, roughly 100 times Earth's diameter, and it's most prominent when Mercury is at perihelion, closest point to the sun. It's been imaged by Earth-based telescopes and spacecraft like Messenger, which confirm the radiation pressure is strong enough to strip the atmosphere and shape the tail. So I guess perhaps this is something that is relatively new discovery.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I don't know about it, but okay.
Could this be like one of those changes that's being brought on by the change of the yugas? Because I do think there's a lot of changes going on to all the planets because of the change of the yugas.
I think it absolutely, I mean, we're going to have a lot of changes going on just in our very ether, and that could do something very strange. We don't know what it's going to do just yet.
Christine's 56, and she has never heard of this either. This is what I mean. They spring this stuff on us like, oh, you don't know that? But, I mean, they might have just put this in like last week in order to hide changes that might get us questioning exactly what's going on in our reality.
Yeah, you know, just coming up with these explanations before anyone really points it out is like, I do think that there are a level of beings and they know what changes we're going to see, so they know when to drop the information into the masses. And that a lot of that's happening lately, a lot of it.
Yeah, Susan says, I'm 68. That's news to me. Yeah, I think they just sprung it on us. I do think that's the case. Borax. 1960s, Rex Newham, PhD, D.O.N.D., developed arthritis. At that time, he was a soil and plant scientist in Perth, Western Australia. Conventional drugs did not help, so he looked for the cause into the chemistry of the plants. He realized plants in the area were rather mineral deficient. Knowing that boron aids calcium metabolism in plants. He decided to try it. He started taking 30 milligrams of borax a day, and in 3 weeks, all the pain, swelling, and stiffness had disappeared. You know, it's dirt cheap. It's dirt cheap. This is why, you know, they'll get you on this and that, which is going to cost so much money so they can make their profits, as opposed to you just taking a little bit of this and you're fine. You know, again, there's so much coming out right now that can help so many people. He told public health and medical school authorities about his discovery, and they weren't interested. Again, it's all about money. However, some people with arthritis were delighted as they improved. Others were scared to take something with a poison label on the container and meant to kill cockroaches and ants. Eventually, he had tablets made with a safe and effective quantity of borax. So borax can cure and protect you, according to this, I have to put that in there, arthritis, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, bone spurs, calcium deposits, lupus, autoimmune disease, hormone imbalances, fungus fluoride, candida, ringworm, tinea versicolor, insomnia, rough skin, impotence, Morgellons, and chemtrails. Again, this is not a medical recommendation. This is just sharing some interesting stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, you know, and one thing that I've been looking into, because it just struck me, something someone said, pure curiosity about fluoride. So I started looking at things like what can help the body release fluoride, and this is one of them.
Yeah. So again, if you want to decalcify your pineal, this is one part of it, just a part. There's a lot to it, and you know that should have its own video. And yeah, we'd have to take a little while to put that together. But avocado oil, it says, has a big problem because UC Davis tested 54 processed foods claiming to use avocado oil. 48 out of the 54 failed the authenticity. They were lying. 93% of the chips, it was not avocado oil. 71% of the mayo, it wasn't avocado oil. And 100% of the salad dressings. Many contained other oils, including seed oils. So we can't even just look at the label and think we're getting what we're getting. Man, the lies just piled high to the heavens.
Well, you know, really, who's going to have the ability and the means to call them on their crap all the time? I mean, how can you? I don't have a testing facility. Not too many people do, but I guess we're going to have to figure it out and start calling them on their stuff. This is wrong.
You know, Lily Blade was asking 1/8 teaspoon or less. I've only used it in the bath. I have not taken it internally myself.
Can't really advise on that one, not medically.
Yeah, but yeah, I've put it in the bath and I did notice results. And was meaning to do it pretty soon again. This is interesting. Look at this. Heard a voice or felt a presence. A new study says you're not alone. It's usually not a bad thing. So in a nutshell, a Brazilian study of more than 5,000 adults found that non-ordinary experiences like hearing voices, sensing unseen presence, feeling sudden overwhelming awe are far more common than clinical research suggests. Well, I want to put out there that I think a lot of this stuff gets not hyped, but quite the opposite, downplayed and ridiculed. And I think they've used that as a tactic and technique to repress what the reality is. And the reality is that life abounds and it's all around us all the time in different dimensions. Most people were fully awake, sober, and healthy when the experience happened, not dreaming, intoxicated, or ill. About 20% felt an immediate negative reaction, 25% reported some suffering, 51% said the experience had a positive long-term effect on their life. Researchers built a new survey specifically to separate the raw experience from the religious or clinical labels, letting people describe what happened without a built-in diagnosis. Mario, thank you so much, brother. Great to have you with the family. We appreciate you and your support always.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you for the sponsorship tonight.
Okay, Jay Franklin gave a recommendation there. Yeah, absolutely. Hearing a voice when no one's there, again, we talked about that. So researchers long struggled to study experiences like these without boxing them into one of two camps. Oh, it's a symptom of mental illness or a sign of something greater. And again, when you look at it, where did all those asylums pop up from? Where did the orphan trains pop up from when we're looking back in our own history? Do you realize that they actually wanted people to get full frontal lobotomies? It was a recommended practice. And literally, there's ads that show this from just about 100 years ago now. Craziness, the things that were put out there. You know, Mary's depressed. Well, now she had a full frontal lobotomy and you can't wipe the smile off her face. Are you kidding me? What they don't want you to know is, again, somebody passes on, they're still there. Chances are they're going to hang around you. They're definitely going to come visit you in most cases, unless it was some sort of extreme trauma where they're just kind of stuck and they're not understanding their position. But there are so many beings around us. You're walking through people and people are walking through you every single day. The thing is, too, they don't want people knowing that all of us at some point in our life have had these experiences. That's how prevalent they are.
They really are, and knowing that your energy cannot be destroyed. You're always there. And from what I have seen, usually it's the living person's heartbreak that doesn't allow them to have contact with their loved ones. So that healing is very, very important, in finding peace in that. And then you can really start asking and looking around and asking your loved one for signs. Just keep asking. Don't give up. And if you get the tiniest of signs, give that a lot of attention, because it's like building a relationship, and it's building patterns, and it's watching synchronicities, and it's trusting. It's trusting. Just like if you have a pet and you're building a communication with your pet, just that, if your pet just is trying to talk to you and trying and you're just not getting it, eventually that pet's going to stop. And our loved ones, they can be the same way. They're going to keep dropping all these little hints and at least doing what they can. So it's really important to just recognize those teeny synchronicities, no matter how small, because that energy is going to be able to be built upon.
So 60% were awake and alert when it happened. That's big. 40% alone. So less than 3% had any alcohol or anything like that. And fewer than 3% reported a mental or physical illness at the time. 48% saw it as a spiritual or religious experience. 31% didn't see it as spiritual or religious. 21% unsure. 51%, though, it had positive long-term effects in their life and their beliefs. I think there's this fear that, again, science in some ways has built in, because, I grew up when science was thinking and putting out there that we were just simply, our consciousness was a byproduct of chemical reactions. That is so off. It is so wrong. Again, we are consciousness. Consciousness precedes this body. And in fact, in some ways, we are creating the body so we could inhabit it.
It's with the suits on, our experience is so very limited. But if you are able to step outside of that suit, even just for a moment, it really can be life-changing. But so can, a spiritual practice can also be life-changing, because it helps you get closer and closer and mesh with the veil. I don't think the veil separates us. I think it's a matter of meshing with it.
Rosebud Atkins, good to see you. KK hears music since she was young. Yeah, I do too. And sometimes, I hear music almost all the time. And, lately, the last few days especially, it's constantly rolling through my head. And I did some cards the other day, and they were telling me, music, you need more music, because I've been so preoccupied with working in the yard and, setting the chickens up and stuff, and then all this regular work, that I haven't like touched the guitar. I only like once in 2 weeks, and that's not good. You gotta, you have to do the things that really, really fire your soul. And my soul is definitely all about music. I love music, and just for me, it is kind of me. But everyone is different too, because it's fascinating. Because Cindy and I are almost like the opposite on that. And she, though she does have conversations in her head going with guides constantly, I kind of do too, but not to that same degree.
Yeah, everyone picks up a little bit different. We all have a slightly different antenna.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of how we are all unique expressions of the one source. Look at this. This is superstar singer Michael Jackson in a pressurized chamber. Is it a med bed? Oh, this is an old thing from like the Star or the whatever it was. One of those, old rags there. Michael Jackson's embarked on a plan that'll keep him alive till at least 150. Well, maybe in an alternate reality. Or maybe they're fooling us and he's not really gone. Oxygen chamber, is what he's doing. It's not a med bed, but this person was, saying it's a med bed. But then again, med beds, I'm sure they're real too, though.
Oxygen, EWAT, we have what we call an EWAT, exercise with oxygen therapy. And it's like this huge bag that we fill with oxygen. And I can put a mask on and go on the elliptical, and you breathe in that oxygen. And I have an oxygen concentrator, which creates the oxygen, and it's just so good for the whole body and the cells. And you can get that over on PromoLife. PromoLife could sell that to you, sell you the setup, and it is very, very easy, and it's been nothing but beneficial. And it, what I've noticed is, if I have an owie or a cut or a bruise, I get on that machine and I breathe in that oxygen, and it heals like 10 times faster. It's truly, truly amazing. I mean, even if you just have an oxygen concentrator at home, breathe the oxygen. It's going to help. It's really, really going to help.
Yeah, this is cute. So he's saying to this monkey, "Hey, bud,
Spain. There's a total solar eclipse coming. Are you aware of the solar eclipse in Spain? No? Okay. Did you know you'll be able to see the sun's atmosphere? An eclipse is the only time you can see it. Why is no one as excited as me? Have you secured ISO certified eclipse glasses? This eclipse will be extra dynamic because we're near the peak of the solar cycle, which ended in late 2024. That means the corona should be extra spiky, extra dynamic. Why aren't you listening? Now, obviously, there's a pretty big wildfire danger in Spain, so you don't want to drive off-road or anything due to sparks. Now, if you, for whatever reason, can't travel, you'll get one here in Gibraltar next year on August 2nd. And this next one, next year, will be the longest until 2114.
That's a long time. So this is going to be the longest for, almost 100 years. Interesting watching them talk to the monkeys and interact. It's like I talk to the chickens and look deep into their eyes, and they look deep into mine. And I know that they recognize their names. They literally know their names. They know, and I think they know more not the sound, but they could read my mind. They know when I'm looking at them.
Well, I've given them some dirty looks. So as our roosters get older and hens get older, the chickens do that thing. And we had this rooster, and he looked like he was gonna get this hen, and I just turned and I glared at him, and he just kind of looked at me, and he turned around and he starts pecking other food over there somewhere else. So I swear he read my mind. It was kind of funny.
Was that Jan?
No, I think it was Shiva. Yeah, I think it was Shiva. But, I was just kind of like, because I don't like to see my hens getting picked on like that. I really don't. To me, it's unnecessary harassment. And they're just there to, be hens and do hen things and stuff like that. So I just that's what really stuck out to me. I'm like, wow, it's almost like he heard me thinking.
Yeah, great job, guys, on the thumbs up. 72 out of 118. So that's awesome. We appreciate it. It's been just so tough. And it gets, you feel like you're banging your head against the wall with the YouTube algorithms. And I know it's not just us, it's pretty much everybody that's real. It's humans, all of us. The human side of YouTube is being suppressed right now because of the algorithms. At least it feels like that. It sure does. It's nowhere near as easy to reach people nowadays. And we'll look at this and we'll see how many new people actually saw our live. Zero. Zero. Nobody. No, they don't allow for expansion. Again, it is some ways makes you think of Rise of the Machines and Terminator trying to dominate everything. We have to push back and promote each other, humans, and the planet. We want to thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for your support. Do, again, if you're so inclined, support us by memberships on YT or membership over on Patreon. Exclusives go up each week, and the message, I think the channeling will be an exclusive up tomorrow morning. And Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu, may all beings everywhere be happy, blessed, and free, and may my words, thoughts, acts, and deeds contribute in some way to the happiness and well-being of all beings.
And I just wanted to throw in there, if you guys are so inclined or felt led to, if you want to support us in another way, sharing these videos on Reddit or another platform, if you have another platform, that might allow us squeak out a little more expansion to reach more people. So I just wanted to throw that in there and then say thank you to our sponsors this evening. You guys are really wonderful and we truly appreciate it. Miss KK, thank you very much. Dave, thank you so much. Mario, thank you very much. So we're going to do some dings, but I just wanted to do a couple of updates. Please keep prayers on for Carrie. He's still going through what he's going through. He needs some extra support and love and TLC just from the heart. And Steve and Lori continues to do better. So thank you so much for all of those prayers. Anyone who needed prayers in the chat, definitely these dings go out to you too. So, and if you look on the website, there's a lot of really good information. We do a lot of things. We really truly do a lot of different things. So it's kind of whatever you need. A lot of people wonder, well, what do I do? What do I get with the energy work? And Mike's going over the Life Wave and the Aha Halo, and these are our sponsors. These are products that we trust and we use every day.
Yeah, I mean, just, what did I use today? Well, I woke up to the Aha, by the side of the bed because we put it right between us. There's a program on there that says loud sleep. And, it just does. It really helps keep. Well, some of us might, or, there could be some snoring involved. But yeah, I use the Aha every day. I love this little thing. It puts out frequencies. It's scalar. Super cool. Promo Life, yeah. Earlier this morning, did ozone before working out, and then how to work out, weights. But besides the weights, I did the elliptical machine, inhaling oxygen from the EWAT, which is exercise with oxygen therapy. It clears your head. If you have foggy brain syndrome, it clears your head so quick. Between the ozone and then getting on and taking in the super clean, clear, intense O2, it's just amazing.
Indeed. So,
and we have our patches on from the morning.
And yes, always our patches. So all of these things, they seem to help us level up. And we really love and appreciate all of the things that we have brought into our lives, and as well as you guys too. So here's some dings. Hold on. Thank you so much, everyone. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.